Hey, all, Andy here, helping you build a career you love. I've got what I think is a fun show on 10 major principles. I think they're good maneuvers to set yourself right for 2024 and beyond. These are tips from my life and things that I do that always seem to help me get things to break my way. So I've got a fun list for you today. I have a lot of stories or examples from my life. I did that on purpose because I want you to know what I do. And as I always say, take what you like, leave the rest. This is packed. I want to run through, I thought over the holiday break, how I wanted to come out in 2024. Yesterday, if you're here with me live, it's a Wednesday, not my usual normal live office hours day, but we had a video come out yesterday, 5 tips to better job search results or faster job search results in 2024. I also wanted in the first week to give you a lesson on things to do in your career, in your life, ways to look at how to get more enjoyment, more production, and really lower the stress too. Because who doesn't want more of that? So I hope you're going to enjoy this. Let's get right out with number 1. I got 10 of these. And the first thing that I want to say is that, and I learned this lesson pretty early in my life, and I'm sure a lot of you recognize this, and the step in and of itself is not a hard concept to grasp, but to do it is really, really hard in the world we live in today. And if you want to reach any great heights in your life, anything, personal goals, professional goals, family goals, relationship goals, anything that you want to achieve, the higher up you go, the more you're going to have to give up. It's just true, because if you're trying to attain very, very high goals or achieve something that is of deep value and great reward, you're going to need to sacrifice a lot. One of the things that I do on a literally daily basis is I cut stuff out of my life. So addition by subtraction. And what do I mean? This could be things you do, and I'm not even talking about the fatty stuff you might have in your life, like if you're wasting a lot of time on social media. Social media is great. I'm on it every day. I watch TV. I watch TV every day, right? Like there's a lot of things like that that might be fatty or might be entertainment or levity, but I want you to look at your life holistically. This could be people to cut, relationships. It could be things you're doing in your business that are a waste of time. You might not know they're a waste of time, which means you have to be paying attention, but it could be anything. And so every day when I wake up and I go through a process in the morning, something of a schedule. And depending on what part of the year it is and whether I'm writing a book or not, or what I have going, usually there's some type of focus practice and meditation that I go through. There's also a portion of my morning that I allocate to what I call excellence planning. My excellence planning, if you're not familiar with any of that, is I ask myself 5 questions that promote stimulation. They stimulate my ideas. And I think about what can I do to better serve my customers, better serve my community, better market my services, become more well-known, and build the brand. Internal systems that I operate, how do I make them more efficient? But the 5th question that I ask myself is, what should I stop doing? And I might stop something permanently. I might stop something temporarily. So years back, I was running my podcast as I am now. And I'm talking about my audio podcast, not my YouTube channel. And I was getting busier and busier as the years were going on. And I don't have a big team. And I do have some people who help. A lot of you are familiar with Kara, who works with me full time. We have some other part-time people who help us in different capacities. Basically, I was loading up the podcast, and I didn't think it took too long, and it really doesn't. But I was looking for things to cut. And I thought, well, if people want to get my lessons, they could listen to me on YouTube. And so I had to cut that. And I was learning how to upload YouTube videos. And and I was listening to people that were talking to me and teaching me all the intricacies of all the different settings that I should do to better optimize and search engine optimize and index my videos to become discovered more and so on. And so what I had done over the years was, I stopped the podcast. I just stopped uploading the audio podcast because I needed to save myself time. And there wasn't really much of a difference. And I stopped tinkering with all the YouTube settings. I don't edit my videos. They just go up. You don't need to see a 10-second trailer in the front of my video or a lot of pretty graphics to get the lesson. And then all the bells and whistles inside behind the scenes, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. It truly doesn't. And I know that because I went through iterations to evaluate it. So I want you to think about, what are the things in your life that you can get rid of? It could be clothes, it could be people, it could be anything. But I would start getting rid of the clutter in your life because to me, and I will tell you this, I genuinely believe this, so I know some of you are going to disagree, but your calendar and what's on it, to me, is more important than your bank account, because this, to me, dictates this. One is dependent on the other. This one over here on the on whatever that is to your left or right or whatever it is a byproduct of this. I mean, aside from those people who inherit a lot of money, but I can alter my position at anything by focusing on my calendar. What goes on it should be feeding my psyche. It should be feeding my health. It should be feeding my business. If it should be feeding my development, and so on. So I want you to think about this. Is going to be really important. Now, as part of this first step, I do want you to remove it. You can bring it back if you think you need it, but I want to make sure that it's something that you truly value and is bringing value to your life. Now, one of the other things that I want to tell you that I do also as part of my overall focusing strategy that I have in my entire life, meaning what do I invite into my life, into my business, into my friendships, into my relationships, commitments, anything. Talk on my podcast, Andy. Can you review my book, Andy? Can you, I think we should try and do this new promotion, or should I create a new workshop, or it could be self-inflicted. And so one of the things that I do to ensure that I get rid of stuff, so I cut it out. But the second thing is, once you cut it out, you need to keep it out. And as part of my focusing strategy, there are 4 elements I look at. Generally speaking, I'm my own personal gatekeeper to the fact that nothing gets into my life. Everything that comes at me is an automatic no to begin with. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of things that I do with my wife and other people around me that I want to support. But basically, most of the things that come at me are an automatic no, because I would rather go from a no to a yes than a yes to a no. And we get stressed out more because of the things we say yes to in our lives than the things we say no to. It's easier to recover from that customer you turn away or that obligation you don't take on than it is to recover from an obligation that you do take on, or a customer you do take on that wasn't right for you, or a friendship that you build maybe that wasn't right for you. So here's what I go through. I think of things in 4 elements. I call them my itties. Well, if you pre-order my new book, this is in there, but I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what's in the focus section. I look at these 4 things. I look at, is what's coming at me part of my true identity? Like, is this who I want to be? Now, I get a lot of requests, for example, for speaking engagements. Now, in and of itself, on the surface, that is part of who I am. I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, an educator, and that's a vehicle to do that. And at different points in my life, I actually spoke more at events, at conferences. I spoke more to companies. I did more private webinars and things like that. I don't do that much anymore, primarily because I have to look at my calendar, right? There are things I needed to cut, which are sometimes those things. And even though it's part of my identity, it still doesn't make the list because of the number of other obligations and some of these other things that I consider. There's a community element to what I do. I really consider this to be a social support mechanism. So if my wife wants to do something, I don't automatically say no to everything she asks me. Let's not be extreme here. I look at, is this a way to support her? So when she says, I want to run a marathon on October 6th, I say, okay, where is it? And let me put that on my calendar because I'm going to be there to support you. That's a very quick yes. kind of thing. But you also are my community. Is what I'm doing best serving them as it relates to all these other things? This third element, ability, is what I'm being asked to do actually going to enable me to build a skill that will be vital for my business? Okay, this is really important because it's and. Is what somebody's asking me vital for me to build the skill and also going to contribute to my business? If somebody asks me to speak, while that's a skill that I will help me, I could get practice talking to you or jump on a stage if I wanted to and practice that skill. And it's not really going to move the needle on my business as big as sitting with you every Thursday talking to you for a couple of hours kind of thing. It's true. I've evaluated this. I've determined this. I see what moves the needle. So is this going to enable me professionally? And then is what I'm being asked actually necessary? So I want you to think about this. Is what you're doing really, is it really necessary? Ask yourself, in the microcosm that is your business, in the microcosm meaning that is your role, in the microcosm that is your work to your customer relationships, those kinds of things. They might be nice to haves, but are they absolute necessities in this world? Okay, that's number one. We got 10 of these. Some are going to be longer than others. Okay. Number two is I will tell you, as somebody who's been working for 35 years, that you can have a pretty good career being good at your job. But if you want to have a great career, you got to work on yourself more. And so item number two is I want you to work you more. So what does that mean exactly? Well, there's my business that I can work on, and I could build training products and all those kind of things, and I could do my job, serve my customers, or I can practice and practice and practice and identify the skills that are vital for me to actually accelerate my ability to run my business, better serve my customers, better sell my services, and so on. And I'm not talking about go out and buy a bunch of self-help books. I love reading, and I do read a lot of self-improvement styled books. The Zebra Code is a career self-improvement kind of book that I just wrote. Okay, so I'm not talking just about that. I'm talking about being proactive in identifying what are the skills that are actually going to enable me to become better at my career or my job, or shift careers if that's your prerogative. But the point is, I want you to do that proactively. I'm telling you, I believe this in my heart of hearts. You are all one skill away from doubling your salary. It's true. If you're not sure what that skill is, you tell me what you do, what level you are, and I will tell you the skill that will double your salary. Figure that out and start working it. I'm not saying you're going to grow it overnight and automatically double your salary overnight. I'm saying you are one skill away, or a level of proficiency at a skill away, from doubling your pay. That's how valuable these vital skills can actually be. Now, a big part of this and enabling you to do this is you have to do step one, because you got to create space in your calendar to be able to work this stuff, because a lot of times this is not going to happen between 9 and 5. All right, so you're going to have to do it before work, at lunch, or after work, or on the weekends, where you're truly putting thoughtful time analysis and most importantly, repetitions in on you. So I really want you to focus on that. Now here's where I think the talk really picks up. Number three is I get asked a lot. I get asked it at these shows, but I get asked it a lot privately in my coaching sessions, one-to-one coaching sessions. And a lot of you, I know you might chuckle when you hear me say this, but you ask me, Andy, what's going to happen? And much of the time, it's, what do you think are the new trends? What do you think are going to be the hot areas? Where are things going? Can I get a hey in the chat? Do you ask me that a lot, right? What's going to happen? What's going to happen next? And what I would bet I've almost never been asked is, Andy, what's never going to change? What's never going to change? Ooh, let's turn this around. Andy's ability to get the cards right. Focus on what will never change. And I'm going to be really explicit here so you get what I mean. You know that expression, the only constant is change? I think it's a pretty dumb expression because I could identify millions of things in this world that have never changed since billions of years ago, and the way humans behave and things that everybody wants. Is there any of you out there that don't want great service? Is there any of you out there that are buyers that buy anything that don't want it delivered to your front door faster? Is there any of you out there that don't want a job you're happy in? That you actually like toxic work environments or, right? To just name a few. Okay. Now, why am I pointing this out so much? Because when you think about where am I going to go in my career? What am I going to do? How am I going to know that, the goals that you set for yourself and what you want to deliver to this world and the value that you want to create, you want it to be impactful. And even if you think, Andy, I just want to go to work, collect my paycheck, and feed my family, I'm okay with that too. But because everybody can live their life the way they want, but you still want to be happy, you still want to matter, you still want to be appreciated, and you still want to make this world a better place. I genuinely believe that in my heart. And so when I think about, like when I was thinking about what kind of business do I want to build? I want to build a bulletproof business that as long as I show up, as long as I put the effort in, as long as I care, right, put the work in, it will never go out of style. Well, Andy, what happens if the employment market goes down and all your job searching services, nobody's going to be able to pay for them? That's nonsense. When the market goes down and you're having a harder time finding a job, you need me more. And you have acute pain that you're willing to pay to solve, to get my help. Well, Andy, what happens if the market is thriving and everybody's getting jobs very easily? They don't need your job searching services. No, then they call me because they have job offers and they want me to help them negotiate more money. Or they want to do even better in their jobs, so they get in my career development curriculum. Since I've been doing this in 2015 as a coach in this capacity, and I started selling online training and coaching services in late 2016. Between 2016 and now, the beginning of 2024, do you want to guess when I had the most attention for my online business? Anybody want to take a guess at what month that was? I won't forget it. End of March 2020, April 2020. I never had that many people at my weekly live shows. We never had that many customers buying our products. We never had that many people jumping into my leadership program. And all of these people apparently were losing their jobs and were freaked out and were working from home and all. Right, because they needed me, right? Maybe more so than they need me today. So I want you to think about all the things I just said. I'm going to give you a little story. 2023 was the greatest year of my life, without, like, hands down, not even a close second. The only blemish on in my life was I lost one of my dogs. And it was Monday, Memorial Day, 2023. And Ginger, one of my 4 dachshunds, she was in a lot of pain. And to the point where I wasn't going to wait till the vet opened up the next day to take her. Like I said to my wife, Linda, we got to go. I'm bringing her to the doggy hospital. And the doggy hospital that we'd gone to had moved even a little further away. So I wanted to figure out, I wanted to get her in there. And I was working in the morning. And I noticed as she was laying here behind me that she was shaking, and this was not normal. And so what I did was I called the hospital. I called the doggy hospital. I said, hey, obviously I want to make sure you're open today. I'm assuming you are 24/7. They said, oh, of course. I said, I know how these things go. I don't really want to sit around and wait for hours. I just want to know, is there a way to make an appointment? What's the deal? How's this work? Usually anytime we come there, it's a walk-in. She says, right, it's a walk-in. However, if you go on our website, you can select a target time that you would like to bring the dog in among the open slots. And what we will do is put your cell phone number in there, and then you tell us your address. And then what we'll do is we will send you a text when you need to get in your car. You don't even need to leave your house. I'll send you a text. We monitor traffic, distance, and so on, and we'll tell you when to come. Awesome. Okay, great. I go in, I put the thing in, get my wife, pack the dog up. This is like an hour and a half later. We drive to the vet hospital. I get in the hospital. We check in, got all my stuff. Didn't have to fill out all the stuff because I filled it in online. I told them what was what. So we go and we sit down. I sit down, I look at my wife, and I say, I gotta ask them what the scheduling software is that they're using, because I don't care if it's a vet office, a doctor's office, or anything office. Like, everybody always values their time. Whatever that is, we're gonna go home and buy stock in it, because I need to know what that is. What's that scheduling software? Because that's a hangover from COVID, right? Where they weren't really letting people in. You had to sit in your car, for any of you that have pets. So I want you to think about this. Never for the rest of my life am I ever going to want to sit in a vet waiting room, or I value my time. It's never going to change, ever. Ever. Think about this kind of stuff when you want to sit. Now, you might say, well, Andy, people always want to go to nice places and spend money on leisure and travel and so on. Yeah, but they have to have the money to do it. So it's a conditional behavior. Saving my time is never going to be a condition of any other factor that I have in my life. Okay, who's tracking with me? All right, number 3, focus on what will never change if you are going to be making decisions. Now, next thing, who are you going to listen to? Only the right people. How are you going to know who they are? Because there's a lot of noise out there. I have told you many times, your greatest opportunities will be found in the sounds of other people's complaints. You solve their problem, you're their hero. Who are the people who are going to tell you this? Your customers. Your competition's not going to tell you this. Your friends are not going to tell you this. Other coworkers who don't know what they're doing are not going to tell you this. So I want you to pay attention. I've told you on many occasions, and for those of you that are new to my community, you might not have heard this before, but one of the reasons that I love to show up every Thursday at live office hours, number one, I genuinely love doing this in this capacity, and I love being here with you. But there are many byproducts of that, because every single week you are telling me what's wrong. Nobody in the world is better at doing that for me than you. Not some other career coach who's trying to pump out videos and copy the common this or that and the resume tips and interview tips and all that stuff, and the stuff that I put out as well, because I want to have it there because I'm building a house for you kind of thing. But your customer, no one will make you faster than your customers. No one makes me faster at getting better and iterating my programs than my customers, my paying customers who see what's behind the paid wall, but you as freemium members as well, who come to the shows and provide me your attention and offer me insight into the world. Then I need to figure out if this is a new trend. Hey, when I started this whole business and doing recruitment and teaching and stuff, there were no one-way video interviews. Who thought of that insane thing, right? You tell me, Andy, I need help with this. Right? We figured out. You're always there telling me. I'm always at the front edge of what's happening because of you. Listen to the right people. Okay, listen to the right people. So that's number 4. Okay, this might be my second favorite one on the list. I have taught you that when you are doing something at any moment in time, I want you to focus on the act, focus on what you're doing. But the real value in anything that you do is what? In the echo. I say focus on the shout when you're doing it. When you're reflecting, focus on the echo. What happened? I did something happened. There's an event. When you go into a job interview, I always say you got to make sure you let them know what happened. That's what's important, right? Anybody can do the act. So I want you to know this. I'm trying to think of different ways of telling you this stuff, but every event has an offspring. Every event has an offspring. I guarantee it that all the things that move the markets, to go back to this, to go back to focusing on what will never change, and people are worried about predicting the future, You will be ahead of 99.9% of the people in this world, not in trying to create something that only the 1% can create, right? But in actually looking for the ripple effect when something actually occurs. So I didn't know COVID was going to hit. And while I'm guessing somebody somewhere along the way in their life realized that we were going to have a pandemic again at some point, but to know what was going to happen to businesses and those kind of things could only be conditional at the moment it happened, because in 1911 or 1918 or whenever these other Spanish flus and other things had happened, we didn't have the same kind of infrastructure or same kind of setup that we do now. So what's more important is, how am I going to react to the offspring? So speaking of COVID, remember I don't know if you, for those of you that have been following me since way back when, I looked for the offspring. COVID hit. It was third week of March when we realized the world was starting to shut down, meaning we were sheltering in place and those kind of things. I went back and sat in my Pottery Barn, bourbon style color, Wells spaceship chair. I literally spent only 10 minutes and I mentally walked through my house. And I've told this story because I knew at that moment I was going to need to scrap the content I had scheduled for the next 3 weeks. And I was going to need to show up at live office hours the next week and tell you what was going to happen. I needed you to not panic. And I needed you to know which industries were going to get hurt and which industries I thought were going to thrive. That was not a prediction as much as it was an evaluation of the offspring of the event. So what I did was I sat in the chair. I started with this office. I got a TV on the wall. You can't see it, but it's right there. I got the super duper, I don't know how many K monitor this is. It's a pretty clear 27-inch monitor. Office equipment, right? People are going to be home. Kitchen's that way, right? Dishware, cookware, food, groceries, Instacart, anybody that delivers groceries into the living room. And so basement. Well, we had the treadmill and the Peloton, and we had some weights. And we need more of that stuff because I'm not going to get to go to the gym, right? So I go around and I identify 36 Zoom stock, right? Like that kind of stuff. I identify 36 industries that are going to thrive. That is an evaluation of the offspring. It is not that I'm a genius and understand what's going to happen 2 months before it happens. No, I would have never thought about that. Focus on the offspring. What else? I get the deliveries. I'm going to have to get deliveries. Now, Amazon stock's got to go up. That's pretty easy. What does Amazon need? They need cardboard to deliver the stuff. I call my broker. We bought up every paper stock we could find that's sold on some exchange somewhere in this world, right? Kind of thing. Offspring, the echoes, the ripples. If you're paying attention, just ask yourself the questions and connect the chain, and good things will happen. All right, that's number 5. We're halfway home. Who's loving this so far? Give me a hey in the chat. I'm loving this. And do me a favor, if you are enjoying this, can you click the little thumbs up button on the YouTube, the little like button, and share this? People need help. All right, what's number 6? All right. Build MVPs first and methods second. What do I mean by that? Okay, that's sort of 6A. I don't know if I'm going to get to 6B because it's taking a little longer than I thought. MVPs, anybody go to the Andy School of Productivity Challenging, right? Has anybody taken that? Or has anybody in my leadership program seen all my productivity and organizational stuff? MVP stands for minimum viable product or minimum viable prototype, or today at the end, a minimum viable promotion. So what does that mean? Whenever I do anything, and I will tell you this often, you don't get it until you get into it, right? You got to get into it and be dealing with real live humans and real live bullets and see what's actually happening. You're not going to read it in a book. You can't Google experience, right? You got to build the product and see how they react, so to speak. Well, literally and figuratively. Okay, so everything that I do in my life, I don't blueprint out completely. I blueprint the first piece. I'm going to do a workshop. We're going to teach about resume writing. Let's get one up and running. Now, MVP, I'm going to teach for 3 days. I'm going to teach whatever I can in the amount of time I can build from today to the date that the workshop is. We're going to build a product. I'm going to see what they like. They're going to tell me what's missing. I'm going to add it later, but it'll be a viable minimum product. There are products I sell done that way. There are promotions I do done that way. Everything in my mind can be iterated, and when you iterate, you improve, but iterating based on real live feedback makes it 10 times better than the person who wants to sit at their desk and analyze everything and waits 10 months to do something that I could put out in 10 days, not because I'm faster, because I'm more willing, okay? Because I'm more willing to what? If you want to hit deadlines, you vary the scope, you don't vary the deadline. You can shrink the scope, hit the date, but the more time you give yourself, number one, there's going to be scope creep, creeping elegance, and you're blueprinting from what? Desk work. You don't have real live feedback. And by the time you get 10 months out and you're putting your first product out, I'm on version 20 of mine with real live humans who've told me how to make it better. And I'm able to see that. That's the first part of this. The second part of this is once you start to work it into a process, you can build a structured methodology around it. Let me give you a great example. Are there any of you out there that are in my leadership program who have been in it since March 2019? In March 2019, I decided, because in late 2016, I had released my first job search curriculum program, and I had a strategy in 2015 that said, I'm going to start with job search coaching, and then I'm going to work that for a few years, concentrated, and then say 3-4 years into the process, I knew this, I was going to build a career development curriculum, and I also wanted to have a subscription like a Netflix style teaching component, but job searching is usually a transactional act. Once it's fixed, it's fixed. So all those products, as you might know, if you hang around the Mile Walk Academy, we sell them, one enrollment, you have them for life, right? But I have a leadership, an aspirational coaching that I started in March 2019. I didn't know what the whole curriculum was going to look like. I just said, oh, what do people have problems with? They need to understand leadership, so I should teach that in the first session. And let's build their confidence, because basically if they're confident, they can do anything I'm about to teach them, whatever that's going to be in April and May and June. Had no idea what the curriculum was going to be. So not only did I start that in 2019, and then the next month I did something, and the next month I did something, and those sessions are still in a library that's now 5 years old. But what did I do? From that, I looked at everything that I knew a leader needed to do, or somebody who wanted to live a better career needed to. And I looked at it and I analyzed the bricks before I put together a methodology that I now have been teaching for multiple years. But I didn't put the methodology together first. I put the methodology together after I had some bricks thrown. Now, I'm not talking about go buy a house and have the, don't hire the architect and just have the builder start throwing bricks up. I'm not talking about that. You got to live in the thing. I'm talking about most of what we do, most of us, and I'm speaking of most. I know I don't want a doctor operating on me unless they've, tried it on enough cadavers and have gone through the proper schooling and everything's been sketched out and hopefully proven and so on. I'm talking about 90% of us and the types of jobs we have and the way that we add value to the world. Much of the time, you want to do this first. The second thing is, in addition to MVPs first, draw conclusions second. A lot of people that I know draw conclusions before they ever try anything. And they're drawing conclusions from things they hear and haven't experienced, things they assume, which are totally incorrect because they have no experience. They haven't even tried it. And what I would also say is the reason that I have been so prolific at being able to produce the right kind of training programs on the job searching and leadership development side is because of the iterative process that I go through that enabled me to draw conclusions based on real life scenarios. And the other thing is, in order to do something of very, very high potency to reach real heights, you're going to need a lot of mistakes. You're going to need a lot of iterations, and you're going to have to tinker with a lot of variables. And you can't draw conclusions too quickly, because just because something happened once, it could be random, or twice, it could be random. When I tell you that an advertised salary on a job description is not the final say, and you say to me, Andy, I don't believe you, that's right, making an error without even committing or trying. Or if you say, Andy, I believe you, I'm going to get into the process and I won't give them my salary, and it says 125,000, and we got down to the end and they offered me 125,000 and they wouldn't go any higher, Andy, you're wrong. I would say, no, you hit the one time and you're drawing a conclusion with only so many data points. I do this every day of my life and have for a very long time, right? I'm telling you that in 90% of the situations, that won't happen. 3 times yesterday that didn't happen, right? I had offers of prepping people and they were exceeding the max salary that was advertised, kind of thing. You need to make these errors of commission first. Don't try to draw conclusions without getting in motion. It's easier to redirect an object in motion than it is a stationary one. All right, number 7. Well, you know I believe this, I hope, because you come to these shows, I hope, every week. Give much more than you think is reasonable. How could you give that away? Andy, how could you show up every week for an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, and just give complimentary career advice like this? Andy, you got a 3-day workshop coming up. It's 9 hours of free teaching. Why would you do that? Because the more I give away, the more that comes back to me. It's a law. It's like a law. I don't know what the exact law is and metaphysically what happens. It just does. Here's a little thing that you might not know. In April 2018, that book, Interview Intervention, that's sort of blurred out. I wrote the book in 2011. It came out in 2012. And in April of 2018, I decided that I wanted everybody in the world to have this book. And I didn't just want them to have the ebook, because the ebook sits innocently, quietly, subliminally in an electronic device. I want the book in your house. Now, it's a big ask, because I'm not a well-known author or any of that kind of stuff. And that book costs $28.95 retail on Amazon. I got to argue with the publisher at what rate they're going to give me to buy my own book, because I want to give the book away for free, but I want to ask you to chip in a couple of bucks. And so I argue with them. I got to wrestle the rights. I got to get somebody else to manufacture the book for me. So now I'm thinking, all right, how much is this going to cost me? I got to manufacture the book, which means I got to print the book. Now, if I print a lot of the book, I could probably get the print cost down to about $3, maybe $4, maybe $2. It depends, but that's the neighborhood you're talking. Okay, good. All right, I got to store the thing. When I store it, people want me to pay it to store it, or there's ways to set up these fulfillment services where we're going to nip you for $3 a book or $4 a book every time we ship one of your books. Great. All right, now I'm up to about $7, $8. I'm just going to ask people for that. Then I send 50% of the interview intervention books that go out of that warehouse, go outside the U.S. Now, if I mail it in the U.S., I still have to pick up the mailing cost, but the first class mail's not too bad. But when it goes to Canada or Perth, Australia, or Zimbabwe, or somewhere in Japan or China, I'm looking at upwards of $23, $30, $34 a book just to ship it to you. Okay, $7, that's what you pay, $7 USD. And somebody say, well, hey, don't you get royalties on the book? What about when people buy the book? Won't nobody buy the book anymore? The moment I started offering the book, which this offer still exists, for $7 to help me pay, when I say it's for the printing, materials and handling, and the warehouse guys, I genuinely mean that. I pay the rest. And we pay a lot of money every year because 1,000 of these books go out a month or whatever the number is. And ever since that time, all of my sales on all the other stuff has gone up. My royalties, I kid you not, I get a royalty check from that publisher who published that book and the Hiring Prophecies. I get a quarterly distribution from them. And I don't live off royalties. My name's not Grisham or Patterson. and it's this big, except ever since April of 2018, since I've been giving the book away, the royalty check is 10x what it was. And I don't live off that, but the point still stands that if you're worried about giving away things, that's limited thinking. There's 8 billion people in this world. No matter how many days a week I talk and for how many hours, not all of them, at least those that are professionals working, are ever going to be able to hear me. I just know that's the juice I'm putting out into the world. That's the energy that goes out there. I have told you, I keep thinking about how can I move the free line. The more I give away, we do 3-day shows, 4-day shows, 5-day shows in a row. We've done 6-day shows in a row. The more days I go, the more of you that buy into the programs, kind of thing. There's a relationship there. So I want you to think about that. Now don't get me wrong. I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth, because remember, I want you to be judicious with what you allow into your life. I'm just talking about get rid of that limited mentality and think in more abundant terms. Okay? This is a really, really important one. Now, I've got 3 more of these. The 8th one is, this one makes me a little sad when people give up. And you set these big goals, and I don't want you to interrupt yourself. How many of you have set a big goal, were working your way there and then threw in the towel? How many of you invest in money, stocks, whatever, and then try to trade it out when you think certain things are going to happen? Now, I'm talking about, don't get me wrong, just because I went and bought a few stocks, I didn't change my strategy. My money went into certain things and it stays there. And I write out the market gyrations because of the way I balance my money. But I'm talking about interrupting your goals. Let me give you a story. There's this woman, her name's Jen. I absolutely adore this woman. She was a client from my executive recruitment days, and she had sought my counsel. She was a client, wanted to actually leave the company she was at. She went to another company. I told her I wouldn't go. I told her why. I told her to evaluate these things, and she did. She went anyway. That's okay. That's her choice. And she lasted about 5 months. She calls me up. She said, okay, you were right. Can we get together for lunch? I really need your help. No problem. We get together for lunch. I said, hey, why don't you come and work with me? Now, she was a corporate recruiter, but she had agency-like skills. So for those of you that know the space, I mean, you need to get on the phone. Now, this is back in the mid-2000s. So it's not, LinkedIn was prevalent. It wasn't as hot as it is now. There weren't as many, people on the platform. But I said to her, okay, look, why don't you come and work with me? I will pay you big commissions. I will get you all your searches. You don't have to sell any searches. I will get all the clients, which I already have, and you help me fulfill the searches, and then I'll give you half the fee. So she can make a bunch of money. I said, but you got to do me one single favor. It's the only thing I ask. I only have one ask of you. You give it 2 years. You give it 2 years. And she looked at me, and like I could see the motor running, like, what do you mean? I said, because what's going to happen over the course of the next 2 years is you got to build your network, which I know you have a network, but you're going to really have to build a different kind of network because we're doing different kind of searches than you did in your corporate days. And the other thing is you're going to go through gyrations where weird things are going to happen because what? You have to make 2 sales to make 1. You got the only product in the world that can say no to a sale. I'm trying to sell something that can say, no, I don't want to go there, kind of thing. So a lot of weird stuff is going to happen, and it's going to take you 2 years for this stuff to kick in. She's, okay, all right, you got it. You get my word. Okay, she gets in, she starts middle of the, fall. It's like the fall. She gets in before Christmas, before New Year's, she hits a bunch of placements because I had them ready. She got in, she worked it, boom, boom, boom. She's like, hey, this is great. I know. Get in. I said, okay, listen, I got a big search for you. We're midway into, like, we're about a year into her tenure, so halfway to the 2 years. I said, listen, we've got this big search. I want you to do it. Okay, I trust you. It's a big fee. And we got to give them 3 good candidates. We did. They loved us. They wanted to hire. These were all her candidates. She's going to get half this fee. She gets them all in. We go through the process. They wanted to make offers to all of them, but the client botched some things up. Turns out they didn't get to hire any of them. It was a terrible situation, but now Jen is deflated. She never recovers from this one particular situation. She keeps going a few more months. She's like, Andy, I can't take this anymore. I can't take the up and down. I know I said I'd give you 2 years, but I got to go. So, okay, I totally support you. I completely understand. As soon as she left, we placed 8 of her people. She'd have made $250,000 in 3 months or something like that. But she was so close. But because she interrupted herself, she didn't get any of that money because she was not around to collect it. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're in a pit or you're in the dip, as I guess Seth Godin would call it, but you're right there, you're digging, you throw the towel in because you interrupted yourself. And I always say success has its own timetable. If you stick with it, you'll be around to see it when it shows up. Okay? So do not interrupt yourself. And then number 9, routines are cool. And the routines are so important and fundamentals are so important to your performance in anything that you do. But what fundamentals and routines also do is they give you a chance to envision and push through in the struggle. Let me give you an example from a recent example. So many of you know that my part of my morning routine, especially when I have a book that I'm writing, is I write for 1 to 2 hours every single morning. I don't take any days off. It doesn't make any difference. I don't care what the calendar says. It's Saturday, Sunday, a holiday, or whatever. It makes no difference because I want to be in writing mode at a certain hour every single day. And because what the routine enables me to do is it enables me to show up and have a level of consistency. I don't get writer's block. I'm constantly touching stuff. I don't need a break from it. If my writing isn't as good, it doesn't matter because I'm going to fix it later. But the most important thing is I want to generate word count. But what it gives me a chance is I don't start writing a book and then say, I envision myself standing on some stage as a New York Times bestselling author. I don't do that. I have no control over bestseller lists. They're not even bestseller lists. That makes it even worse. So I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to envision what I'm going to do and how I'm going to react when I'm struggling, so that I know how to push through, so that I don't have emotional ups and downs because it's a process. So I wrote for 102 straight days. I had 102 sittings to write a 100,000-word book. That's what I did. And then once I was done, that was it. And then I spent the next 3 weeks making sure everything was consistent and massaged it and stripped things out or whatever I needed to do. And so the routines are really important. Every time I come to a show like this, the 5 minutes before I turn the camera on, I mentally prime myself and I say, what kind of person is going to show up, 193 of them at 11:49 in the middle of the day, my day anyway, on a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Tuesday or whatever day of the week it is? They need my help. Hold their attention sacred. Be empathetic. Be appreciative. Genuinely care. Even though you're going to get asked the same question over and over, that's okay. Maybe they just found you this morning, right? Kind of thing. And use it as an opportunity to better package your response. Can you make it better? Can you illustrate it differently? And then when you're done, a routine, I watch the show. I'll watch the show multiple times because I'll be watching it using different lenses to see different things. Did I miss anything? Did I hit my notes? Did I hit the high marks? Did the bombs go off where I planted them? Could I have said that faster? Should I have left that out? Did that confuse them? I mean, I look at all this stuff. Was I empathetic? I mean, all these things. And these routines enable you to do that. If you don't have these routines dialed in, built into your day, not only is your life going to be harder, but I think you're going to stress more. My keys are always in the tray right over there. My money, my wallet, or my I should say my rubber band with my credit cards, it's always there. My earbuds are always there. Like everything has a routine to it. The more routines you can get in place, I'm not talking about rigidity. I'm talking about good practices. Build systems in your life. It will make your life easier. I always plan in the same 2-hour block. I don't plan for 2 hours a day. I plan in the same 2-hour block each day. I always know between 5 and 7, I'm going to be doing that kind of thing. So this is really important. And then the last one, I want you to remember this. And I want this one's going out for anybody who is at a crossroads in the direction that they should take their life. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. So don't let what you can do stand in the way of what you were meant to do. So I could have a much easier life, much easier, if I just went and took a C-level position at some company. I could. It'd be a lot easier. I could make a lot more money with a lot less hours, believe it, and that'd be fine. And I could do that. But then all of you wouldn't get this. And all the people that I think I was meant to help would not get that. There are a lot of things you all can do, and you stay in jobs you don't like, and you stay in careers you don't like because you feel handcuffed. I'm telling you, from an abundance standpoint, there is plenty of money to be made doing something that you love. I'm not saying go follow your passion. I would never do that. That's irresponsible advice. Okay? I am saying if there is an interest and your why is driving you, because helping people is what drives me more so than anything else, you will figure out a way to earn it. Believe me, there's plenty of money in this world. There really is. So I need you, no matter what age you are, okay? If you're still breathing, you can do it. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And just don't let what you can do stand in the way of what you were meant to do. All right, so let's recap them now that I got my composure back. All right, cut. Get rid of this stuff. Work you more. Focus on the constants. What will never change. Listen to only the right people. It's in the ripples. Every event has an offspring. Build yourself some MVPs. Give more than you think is reasonable. How am I doing? Try to get this in under 55 minutes. Do not interrupt yourself. Routines are cool. Do what you were meant to do. Do what you were meant to do. All right. If you're here with me live, we're going to the chat. If you're watching this on the recording, I will see you next week. But no matter who you are, I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed to the station. Please give it a like if you really enjoyed it, and share it with people. People need help. Here's to a great 2024. Whenever you're watching this, I hope you really enjoyed it.